program full of semi-intelligent banter with the same old dumb guys talking about everything in local sports, national sports, all the biggest storylines. We break them down right here and now. Might be wondering what's coming up on today's show. Well, there were a couple of Game 7s in the NBA. We're going to give you our opinion of what we just saw. Who makes our all-choke team in these 2022 NBA playoffs? We each have a 3-pack of players that just did not live up to the standard during their tournament run. We're also going to break down our favorite matchups on the NFL schedule. We're going to project the Browns win total now that that has come out. We're also going to dive into the OCC Track and Field Championships, this week's tournament baseball and softball matchups, and I'm even going to try to provide some Monday motivation to the entire squad. Let's begin with Hayden Gray, who I believe just got off the track over at Ashland from that OCC tournament, yeah?
Yeah, I did. I'm still, I didn't even participate, but my legs felt pretty tired too, but yeah, so we're going to have some good stuff to talk about for that.
Yeah, it was a long event, but we got coverage of everything out there. Gian Storm with us as always. Hey, we're rocking a nice jersey today. G-Man looking casual and comfortable. How'd you guys spend your Sunday?
Watching Game 7s pretty much. That's about it.
There was a lot of them.
They were boring, but whatever.
I was working. Father put me to work.
Man.
So Sunday's fun day with Dad. I seen a little bit of the NBA, but not much.
Working on the weekend like usual. That's G-Man for you. And you might notice the set's like a little bit less hefty today.
Yeah.
Where's Travis? Oh, that's right. He's out at Akron's Firestone Stadium. He's going to be taking in not one, but 2 softball games today. What's up, Trav?
Hi, boys. How we doing out back there in Mansfield, Ohio?
Yeah, feeling good, man.
Doing
feeling
well?
good.
Yeah.
What about you coming off of that Penguins Game 7 OT loss? I didn't want to have to bring it up, but the last picture that I had of you was that.
Well, after, about 6 hours of sulking and everything, I realized, hey, I've witnessed 2 Super Bowl championships, 3 Stanley Cup championships, an NBA championship. I got to go to a World Series, another NBA Finals, 2 more Super Bowls, another Stanley Cup Finals. So you know what? It's okay that we didn't get a win this year, but, I have a lot of championships that I can go back and relive and make me feel better. But enough of that talk. We have these girls behind me playing for a state championship. First, they got to get through their district here in Akron. Those are the Hillsdale Lady Falcons, the #1 seed in their Division 4 Akron district. And, they have high hopes. Young team this year, but behind the pitching of Taylor Morgan, some timely hitting. They are, back to being the top seed, and they want to get back here in a couple of weeks for the state Final Four.
So your expectation today is Lady Falcons soar into the championship. Is that your expectation from what we've seen during the regular season and up to this point in the tourney?
Absolutely. And I mean, they've played some tough teams in the regular season. We saw live and free on the OH.Report their victory over Ashland with some young players. A freshman, her first career hit was a bases clearing double that gave them the victory. So they have that experience as the year went on. They played some really tough competition. They won their conference as well, and by just steamrolling everybody. And now they're back here. They had that a tough taste in their mouth from getting knocked out in the district semifinal last year. So some of these veterans, they remember that last year. They're playing with a chip on their shoulder, and they're ready to get through here, get through the regional in Strongsville, and hopefully get back here for a state Final Four.
Yeah, that's a Hillsdale program, one of the most decorated in small schools in the entire state of Ohio. They're not used to not making it to at least a regional, and if they do, of course, make it to the state round, they're going to be right back there at Firestone Stadium where they're going to get a good look here today. But as I mentioned, you're not just there for one game today, Trav.
Nope.
You are there for a 2-pack, so it could be an all-Ashland County championship, right?
Absolutely. Loudonville, they're the 3 seed. They play Mogador in the second game. And behind the pitching of Natalie Buzzard, they've just been able to win key games this season. They won their sectional pretty handedly. Now they take on a Mogador team, the 2 seed. And that's another team we saw live and free on the OH.Report. They beat a Division 1 squad at the Wendy's Classic and, played some tough teams in the regular season. They want to get to that championship game, hopefully play Hillsdale and see what they can do from there. But, Buzzard and company, they want to get to that district final as well.
Yeah, no question about it, Trav. You can find the highlights tonight on the OH.Report. Also, follow along on our Twitter account for inning-by-inning updates, courtesy of that gentleman right there. But it looks like first pitch coming up in just about 5-6 minutes, Trav, so we're going to let you get on the JOB, buddy. Thanks for joining us.
Sure thing. You guys have a good show.
Stay cool, buddy.
All right, so Travis, he got a pair of games going on tonight that he's going to be covering. The rest of us, we kind of get the night off other than being here on the pod. But lots and lots of tournament games coming up on the calendar on the OH Report this week. I didn't even count them all, but it seems like there's like 3, 4, maybe even 5 every single day. So which one, G-Man, that you're personally going to be covering are you most excited for coming up here over the next couple of days?
This is kind of, it's not set in stone yet, but I think that they're the best team and they're the most fun team for me to cover is Tri-Wade, because I think that they're so action-packed, man. I cover them against Lake Catholic. I know that they're a 23 seed, but to put up 28 runs in 5 innings, and I mean they probably could have got another 25, to be completely honest with you. They pumped the brakes a little bit there, but Carter Wachtel in that game had 14 Ks, 3 RBIs, and a no-hitter. Wow. Haley Mazzaro had 7 RBIs. One of the Flinter girls, I think she had 2 home runs, 5 RBIs. I mean, it was a kind of a performance that you don't see, and I was just kind of speechless, to be honest. But I'll be there Thursday at Firestone if they're able to win tomorrow against Cloverleaf. I think we all are confident in their ability to do so, but they got to get that one down first. But Thursday, I'll be up at Firestone to cover the Tri-Wade Titans, and I think a lot of us here on this pod think that they have a good shot at playing for that state title.
Yeah, I don't think there's any question that if you could put out some odds, like if Vegas were to go look at the Division III softball tournament, this would be the team I think that would have the best odds, right, G-Man?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, from top to bottom, this is the only team I think I've covered since covering sports in this area that has every hitter in the lineup can go yard. Yeah. It doesn't matter who's up. 1 to 9, you usually want your heavy hitters 1 through 4. I mean 7 through 9, they're hitting jacks out of the park. Like, it doesn't matter who's up to bat, who's in the field. I mean, their defense is phenomenal too. I'm talking a lot about their hitting because they had the 26 hits and 28 runs, but their defense is phenomenal too. Nothing gets by them. I mean, it's just a very well-rounded team, and they're just so solid. They'll be playing for a state title.
I think that's the expectation, of course. Yeah, they got there last year with a freshman pitcher. Of course, yeah, Carter, just a sophomore, too. Yeah. Like, she's going to be getting looks, of course, probably from SEC, out there in California. There's going to be a lot of schools that are going to want this girl and plenty of the other players on the roster. So, Tri-Wade, we expect to be in the district championship game. Should have some coverage from G-Man. Storm, where are you going to be? What are you going to see that's got you thinking, hey, this is going to be a good time?
South Central versus Plymouth. I'm very excited for. I just covered them for the first time this season. The other day, they played Banlieue, which I don't know if I've ever heard of that school before, but I thought it was really cool. I always like hearing about the schools that I've never heard about before. Prater, though, with 11 strikeouts and only 1 earned run that came on a home run on the second pitch of the game, but 11 strikeouts. Wow. And this is a South Central squad who also has a lot of power at the plate. They can put the ball in play really well. And there isn't really a weak link on their squad. There's no clear-cut kind of bottom player. They're all in it together, and they're all it's just a very solid collection of softball players. So I'm very excited to see how that'll shake out versus Plymouth.
What I think's fun about it, too, is that it's 2 Firelands Conference teams going head-to-head. So anytime you got to meet for that third time, like it adds a little bit more sauce, a little bit more salt to the equation, I'd say.
Oh, yeah, definitely. When you have to play a conference rival in the playoffs, there's nothing better than that. And you definitely do not want to be on the losing end of a game like that because that's a lot of bragging rights there in the Firelands Conference.
I'm going to go ahead and just jump on the piggyback there because I also, too, I've got some conference rivals that are going to be playing here in a couple of days. I've got Lexington versus Madison, so obviously 2 programs just separated by a few miles. The #1 seed versus the defending district champions in the Lady Rams. And even though Lady Lex actually swept Madison during the regular season, I think they're having one of their best all-time seasons. 19 wins, just 4 losses. I kind of still feel like Lady Rams are the favorites in this one. It's weird, but I think that the tournament that they had last year, it's going to carry over to this season. And even though they haven't had the best of regular seasons, just 12 wins, it's kind of what we saw from Madison exactly just a season ago. Tim Nicewander always has his guys ready to play, but that doesn't mean the purple and gold can't go out there and get it done. I also saw Bailey Lyons the other day. Just had 2 home runs in 1 inning in the sectional championship game. So they're coming in with a little bit of momentum on their side. The winner likely going to be the favorite. to get out of the Willard district. So for me, that's the one that I'm looking most forward to. Had a ton of fun last season in the Rams dugout during the games, and I'll go back and forth. I'll see a little bit of Lexington, a little bit of Madison, and softball, those girls, when they get the chance going, it really is infectious. I have a good time. I feel like I want to start clapping. If I wasn't holding my camera, I'd probably be a part of it too. So that's the one that I'm looking forward to, the OCC rivalry. What about you, Mr. Gray?
I had to kind of think about it between some of the games I have this week. So I've typically been covering OCC teams with Ashland and Lexington, but then I've also seen Triway a couple times as well, like G-Man. But so I'm actually jumping ahead to Wednesday when I'm going to cover Colonel Crawford versus Edison. So it's 2 and 3 seeds going at it. I haven't had a chance to cover Colonel Crawford this year. But, you know, judging based off how they just got there in their past game against Willard, another team that put up 23 runs, 21 hits to Willard's 1 hit, and that only came via an error. So, I mean, another team that put down a monster performance offensively and defensively. I know Travis has been covering them a lot, but so I'm excited to get a little taste of the action myself, see, you know, we've heard a lot about them, see what they're all about. But there is a small, you know, there's a good part of me, too, that's interested in my game tomorrow to see if Ashland, you know, a 7 seed versus a 2 seed, if they're going to be able to pull through. We've seen them a lot here on the OH.Report, and we know that they don't go down without a fight. So I'm excited for that one, too.
Yeah, and I like this matchup in here, too, because Colonel Crawford is a team that they've been at the top of the N10 basically throughout the entire season. And then Edison playing in such a tough conference that they come from in the SBC. So it's going to be 2 teams that competed for league championships that are going to be meeting out there on the softball diamond. I think this is a pretty quality choice for you, Hayden. But I kind of like that Ashland pick, too. You never know, man. I like the underdog stories, especially in the tournament time early on.
I definitely agree. I think that we've kind of seen them in some of those games when we had them at the Wendy's as well and against Mount Vernon. They've battled adversity. So I think, you know, we talked about them being a little bit – well, I considered them in that underdog topic, but I said they weren't an underdog. But still, seed-wise, I'm interested to see if they'll be able to overcome that.
Well, you took in over the weekend out there at Ashland University the OCC Track and Field Championships. A lot of our best track and field competitors come from that very conference, and no surprise, Ashland boys won it again, 6th straight time. Lady Lex and Madison seemed like they just keep going back and forth. Madison will win it, then Lexington will win it. It was the purple and gold season to go out there and get it. Give me your top takeaways, though. What did you see out there in terms of the level of competition, and you know how many good rivalries are going on right now in the OCC and track and field?
Yeah, so I thought it was honestly very competitive when I sit down and take a look at the final team results. I mean, on the girls' side, you know, Lexington was able to pull away in the 4x4 especially. They won that race, and that was important for them to win to edge out Mount Vernon. So they won by 19 points. But you look at the rest of the pack, everyone has over 70 points except Mansfield Senior, who had a rough day on the girls' side. But so I thought the girls were really competitive. Lexington really dominated those relays. So that was exciting to see. You know, those are always some of the most intense races. So they took home the 4x1, 4x2, 4x4. And then when you take a look at just overall, like you know, brought up Madison, Alexia Davis took home the MVP on the girls' side for the OCC overall as an athlete. I don't remember that being necessarily an award that was given out when I did trap, but that's something they do now in the OCC. So she took home that. So I think that it's still kind of between them. But Mount Vernon making a name for themselves as well. And then over on the boys' side, like you said, Ashland takes home their 6th in a row. I mean, there's not much to say. They're just extremely well coached. They edge it out by 30 points over Lexington, who had a good day on the boys' side as well. Mansfield Senior made a little bit of a push through their field events. But there was some good competition. I think the relays were really entertaining again as well. Ashland, you know, loaded with speed and in distance as well. Ashland always predominantly good at distance, and they had a little bit of a battle there. And one of the clips on the highlight is pretty entertaining. Guy from Mount Vernon took a diving leap to try and take that first place because they knew they'd be competing, but wasn't enough. So it was, I think everyone performed really well, especially with how hot it was.
Well, Hayden, you talked about speed. Let's get straight to the point here.
Yeah.
Which athlete, guy or girl, you think has the best wheels in the area?
Ooh, it's tough. because sometimes it's tough. I don't like to count out all the distance guys because obviously I know it's a completely different style race and pacing-wise. So
Right.
if I ever saw them running in some of the sprints up against a sprint guy, maybe some of them could, but I primarily look at who's sprinting. And I think just based off of my small sample size of the OCCs, I would say probably Isaac Brooks from Madison. I mean, that dude's got some wheels. He took home both the 110 and 300 meter hurdles, and he took it home considerably. He absolutely moved, and he made up a lot of ground in that final race too for them. The 4x4 at the end, they had a chance to try and beat Mount Vernon. He pushed as hard as he could. So I think Isaac Brooks is probably one of the quickest guys around.
And I have one for you too, Hayden. What was your favorite thing to see throughout the day? Your favorite event to watch, or to film, or just anything? What was your favorite moment, I guess, from that event?
I would say overall favorite moment. I knew there's something Brian and I talked about before. You know, we're used to Maurice Ware here on the OH.Report, and he definitely had his ambitions set high for the day and wanted to make sure that we had some presence out there. So I would say my favorite moment was taking in the boys' high jump, which was really entertaining. Once it got down to the finals,
Just a two-guy race between a couple of tigers, right?
yeah, between Emil Upchurch and Maurice Ware. And I think a good moment that I took away from that is my interview afterwards with Emil Upchurch. Definitely up there with one of my favorite interviews that I've talked about. It just seems like such a very humble and grounded group, those two, that they push each other so extremely well. And you can tell that they coach each other up while they're out there. They were both a little bit disappointed because they didn't hit the numbers that they just had in the previous week.
Right.
But they still take home 1-2 in the conference. They're going to be right back there at districts. So, you know, they both respectfully. I mean, I'm 6'2", and we consider me fairly tall. To think that these guys, they're clearing 6'6". I believe this is the 6'6" jump right here.
Yeah.
Just unbelievable. Emil went for 6'6", bowed out at 6'4", but you know, these guys, two of the best in the business in the state, and I just think that, you know, they showed out. That was my favorite moment from the day for sure.
So Mo, obviously he's a good jumper. He's kind of a fast guy too. Would you say he's the most versatile threat out there from top to bottom, or is there another athlete, guy or girl, that really caught your eye that can do it all, man?
It's tough. I think that it's tough. Like, I want to look at Isaac Brooks. He did take home the male MVP in the OCC as well, so a couple of Rams taking home those honors. So I think he deserves to be in the conversation. But if I had to narrow it down to two, I think Maurice definitely takes that award. I think he's the most versatile in terms of the fact that something we talked about was he was doing all these wonders in high jump while running in 3 other events during the day. He ran all 3 events before going for his highest jump. So, you know, he offers so much speed and stamina. And I would also consider Weaver from Lexington. He kind of does the same. I think Maurice edges him out just because he was able to take, you know, that title in high jump. But Weaver also runs in a lot of relays and then does long jump very well as well in high jump. So I think those two guys for sure.
Yeah, really impressive performances by the OCC athletes, of course. There's some standouts. And I don't want to, like, take away any of their shine, but I did a thing last week, guys, okay? Got a little bit of story time for you. So last Wednesday, nice day out. Happened to finish some work a little bit early on in the day, and I decided, you know what, I'm going to go for a run. Haven't been on a run in a while. I got this app called Runkeeper. I open it up, go to hit start, and it go ahead, and it hits me with a little pop-up. Oh, what is this? Brian, would you like to compete in a little competition where you run 5 5Ks over 5 consecutive days? Now, I looked at my log of runs. I had only run over the last year 2 5Ks. I almost never, ever go over that 3.1 miles. I'm usually between 2 and 3 miles. But I went ahead and I clicked on that, and I said, I'm going to go for it. Adam, will you go ahead and roll the little clip here? Let's take you through my journey. We're going to begin on day 1, and I'm not going to lie, it was tough. It was rough outing. That's what I look like at the end. I collapsed in my front yard when I got back, and you see, you know, the pace wasn't great, but it was decent, okay? Next day, thumbs up. You see some smiles going out there, gentlemen. So I went a little bit farther, not quite as fast, but it was super hot that day, so I gave myself a bit of a break. This was the big one right here. Over 7 miles, I ran nonstop for a full hour, thanks to some motivation from my friend Johnny Halter the very next day. It's 2 hours you're going to see that window. Yeah, anybody can do 4.7 miles over that time frame, but I did a lot of different things. And then my wife met me at the finish line for the last 10 meters of my 5th day. And guess what? That was just a couple of hours ago, guys. 4.3 8 miles in 8:13 pace. So what's the moral of this story? As I look around this room, I see a lot of potential, boys. But I also see a little bit of baby fat hanging around, at least over on this table. And I see maybe someone a little bit too skinny could probably use a little bit of thickness on those legs. So I'm reading a great book right now by Cal Ripken Jr., and it's called Just Show Up. And step 1 of getting anything started is you just got to show up. You just got to be there, boys. So for me, 6 straight days of hitting the 5Ks. I started also today. I'm going to be maxing out. Everybody in this room knows that I had a pretty crappy injury last September, broke both of my wrists, but I'm back, baby, and I'm ready to get after it. So I'm going to become a dog this spring and summer, and all I want to know is who's with me.
Well,
Come on, G-Man.
I work out pretty consistently. I don't think I run 5Ks, though. I don't know if I can do that. I'll give it an attempt, maybe one day, but I do work out consistently. I'm just, I don't know.
You look good, G-Man.
So
I mean,
G-Man's on
last
the
No,
year,
you do
last
more
year
than
I
us.
weighed 292. This year I weigh 259 today. So
Yeah,
there's
no,
some
you're
progress
doing-
there with what I'm doing. So the treadmill's going good. I'm down here almost. Jory sees me. I know she sees me. So I'm down here putting in some work. So I'm off your hands. You ain't got to pick on me.
Okay. So G-Man's good. He's at least in my corner, getting in that work. Storm, can we count on you?
I got Cinnabon the lights pulled up on my computer right now. I was looking at pictures of them, so maybe a little bit. It takes a little bit of effort to lift the Cinnabon up into your mouth. A little weight action, free weights, and things like that.
Okay.
I don't
So
know.
maybe a little Cinnabon workout for Storm. So that's a start, though. That's a start.
You said
At
just
least-
show up. He's
That's all
showing
I
up.
gotta show up.
He's showing up.
Showing
So
up
he's
at
there.
Taco Bell.
I guess Hayden, you want to maybe jump on the bandwagon and start getting in some runs?
Yeah, I really don't have any excuses. I only look like this because of a food allergy, so I don't work out. I don't consistently do anything, so it's time. I need to get back to high school muscle type days. I miss it, so yes, I think I need to.
Yeah, people keep telling me I'm a little bit too skinny, so I can't just keep running. I'm going to follow a new routine, and hopefully here in a couple of months, y'all will notice a difference, not just in me, but in yourselves. Let's all go on this adventure together. All right, guys. Well, after my 5K run yesterday, I was feeling pretty good about myself, but there was a lot of good TV to watch. Many Game 7s going on, hockey and the NBA. We want to focus, though, today on the association. Saw a pair of blowouts. Celtics-Bucks wasn't exactly a good series clincher, and then the nightcap, even worse, Suns versus Mavs. The game was over in like the first 7 minutes. It was unbelievable. So let's start with you, Hayden. What did you see from these games? Why did they play out like this? What do you make now of what we just saw yesterday and what we might be seeing moving forward?
I think it is kind of alarming when you see these big of victories in a Game 7. So I try and figure out what that means to me. And honestly, I think we're seeing the better teams come out of these series. In all honesty, we talk about having to play the same opponent 3 times earlier in the softball segment. So that's what we always talk about that makes these so beautiful, having to play that same team in these series for that many games. So I think by then, 7 games is adequate to find who's really going to emerge by then. They have schemes, coaches have better ideas of what they need to do to find a win. You still want it to be a little bit more competitive as a viewer just chilling at home. But I think it's setting up for some really good conference finals. I think that, through this point, I think the Eastern Conference has been a little bit more maybe competitive. Or I feel like the East is gaining on the West in terms of the West always used to be the premier conference. And you just didn't even respect the East. I think now competition's leveling out a little bit. And I know this will make G-Man and everyone else here happy. I will give Luka more credit. I'm still not ready to shift my decision, but I never said he was bad. But no, he's the reason why they made it to the conference finals for sure. So I think on that side, they just stunned Phoenix for sure.
Yeah, Lucas scored as many as the Suns in the first half by himself. So point made. G, what did we see yesterday and why?
Well, I'm gonna start out with the Western Conference game. I think we've been talking about this a couple weeks, but Luka is the real deal. I think yesterday really catapulted him into other superstars I think are now going to want to go to Dallas now that they see how good Luka is. I mean, I know Spencer Dinwiddie, he scored 30, but Spencer Dinwiddie is not a 2. He can't be the second guy to Luka Doncic. So they're not gonna make it to a finals or win the finals with that kind of team. But maybe this helps Luka get another superstar in there and help him out because this guy's good, man. I even underestimated him. I don't know if they were going to beat Phoenix like that, and the way that they did was pretty alarming if you're a Suns fan. And going over to the Eastern Conference, Boston, I doubted them since the playoffs started. I thought the Nets were going to honestly sweep them.
Yep, remember that?
And then I didn't think they'd be able to guard Giannis. And I think Giannis, he got his, but in the last closing minutes, when the game mattered most in Game 7, Giannis wasn't really anywhere to be found. And I think they're going to be in the finals. I don't think the Heat can hang with them, but I would rather the Heat win because of Jimmy. I love Jimmy Butler, but I know Adam, he wants the Celtics to win, so I wouldn't even be mad if they win. But I think it might be Boston's time. I think they're actually going to do it. I think they're going to get it done.
So we've been counting out the C's kind of.
That might be a bad thing, though, because maybe I'm jinxing them, Adam. You want me to pick the Heat, Adam? No?
Remember, they were supposed to get swept by the Cavs, so we're still doing good.
All right, I'm picking the Heat then.
Storm, just give me some top takeaways, man. What did yesterday really explain to you about the nature of what's going on in the NBA with these teams that are still remaining?
Well, I kind of wanted to talk about the losers a little bit at first.
Please do.
My thing is Chris Paul's career is over, I think, at this point. He will never be a top 5 point guard in NBA history, and he will never have as good a shot as he did this year or last year to win another finals. I just don't think it'll ever happen. And as far as some other things, Giannis and Luka will be top 5 players when it's all said and done. They will be. Those two are they're special talents. Giannis getting it done, pushing it to 7 against a very good Celtics defense without Chris Middleton, their second guy, and Luka Doncic willing his Mavericks team over the Phoenix Suns. And he wouldn't have probably won if, Spencer Dinwiddie didn't help take some of the scoring load off as well. He had a very good night. Spencer Dinwiddie's an underrated star in this league. But Luka Doncic and Giannis will be top 5 in this league when it's all said and done.
I think we kind of expected more of what we saw from Dinwiddie yesterday than what we've seen previously in the
agreed.
playoffs. When they made the trade, I honestly thought that he was going to be pretty close to the number 2 guy.
Yeah.
They finally got it. I think my number 1 takeaway would be from actually the losers, too. I feel like Giannis showed that he's probably the best player in the NBA.
Right
but
now, yes.
even the Jolly Green Giant mixed with, the spawn of Hulk, he can't do it by himself. You can't have Drew Holiday be your number 2 threat and think you're going to win a series against a team as good as Boston. Pat Connaughton can't go out and get you baskets consistently. I'm sorry, but they found out how much they really needed a second All-Star in Chris Middleton. I think every team that's going to win an NBA championship, you got to have that second guy. I think that's what we know. I don't know if Luka has that. But I like the supporting cast a lot better than I did before the start of the Suns series. With them winning 4 out of the last 5, I do feel like Dinwiddie, as I mentioned, finally breaking out of his shell. Brunson's been pretty consistent. I like what we see from him. As long as a couple of guys can step up, I think it might be more of a competitive series than what everybody out in the Bay is anticipating, even though I do think that it's Golden State's now to win. Mavericks kind of proved, though, that they're a team that it doesn't matter if you want to count them out. Matter of fact, I kind of like it.
My problem is going to be, for the Warriors, is I feel like the Mavs are going to try to play like whoever offense on Steph Curry.
Yep.
And just try to get Luka on Steph and just get him in the post and try to get him in foul trouble and just get him off his spot. Because I think it'll go 6. I think the Warriors will win in 6, but I'd love to see Game 7.
Dude, and it's going to be a coaching battle, too, because in Game 7, Jason Kidd out-coached Monte Williams. Far and away out-coached Monte Williams. And Steve Kerr, he's no slouch. He'll be back, and that's going to be an interesting coaching matchup, Jason Kidd versus Steve Kerr. And a lot of people knock Steve Kerr for not being a good coach because, he had Kevin Durant, Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, guys like that. That obviously makes it a lot easier to win. But you look at when who was it? Was it Mike Brown stepped in when he was in COVID protocols, and they got destroyed both games. I guarantee if Steve Kerr was coaching those games, they might have lost, but they would have not gotten embarrassed like they did.
Well, who do you put on Luka? Wiggins? Because I wouldn't want Klay to have to deal with that assignment.
He's a liability on defense this season.
Just worry about offense.
You might have to almost do defender by committee sometimes, Klay. Sometimes
I mean,
Wiggins.
I would have liked to put Dre on him, but he's going to have to get some rebounds. So, I don't know.
It's gonna be a fun series.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to that more today than I was yesterday. When I saw the Mavs win in the way that they did, I was like, oh man, like this just sets up for them to be slaughtered at the stake at the next one. I don't know, man. I don't know. Starting to buy in a little bit more to Jason Kidd and his crew. I'm not buying in, though, to a few people out there. There were some good players that had some head-scratching performances here in this NBA postseason. So I want to know, gentlemen, who makes your Mount Rushmore of choke artists? Let's lay out your top 3 guys that are going to make the 2022 All-NBA choke team. Storm, we'll let you kick this one off. Who really did not impress you during the postseason so far?
Well, in no particular – well, I'll put it in an order. KD was third. And I really think that he started off well versus the Celtics, but we were talking about this, Garrett. If you would have put LeBron on that Celtics team, LeBron would have gotten at least one. And I think LeBron could have won the series. So Kevin Durant, he got bullied by the Celtics. Number 2, James Harden taking 2 shots in a closeout game when Joel Embiid is playing with an injured face, injured thumb, and a bothered knee. That is just disgraceful. It's like he gave up. So that was a rough performance from him in that final game of that series. And then my biggest all NBA choke team here for the playoffs, Kyrie Irving. Yeah, dude missed over 50 games. He was the only one well rested to play basketball. He should have been doing nothing but practicing in all that time he had off, and he came out and couldn't get it done either. They couldn't take a single game off the Celtics, and the Kyrie and KD pick kind of go hand in hand, but I can't believe the most well-rested guy in the playoffs couldn't take a single game.
My 3 are very similar to yours, so let's shake it up with a little bit different flavor. Hayden, who sucked this playoffs in your eyes?
Well, I'm going to make it real easy on whoever has to chisel my mountain here for my Mount Rushmore, and they're going to just put James Harden's face 3 times. Now, I'm not saying there weren't other disappointments. I agree with the other ones. He was just the most disappointing to me. Like, I agree how, you said earlier CP3's career is done. I don't know if I'm willing to go that far to say career for James Harden, but the James Harden that we knew is done. I firmly believe that. I don't think that we're ever going to see Houston James Harden anymore. And I think a lot of it just has to do with he just can't keep up with some of the younger guys anymore. I think his game has to change. He still scored. I mean, he dropped 31 points in a playoff game this playoffs, but when we're talking about James Harden, we're used to hearing, and it takes more than that now. If you want to win some of these games, especially with Embiid being down, you got to be dropping 40 or more. And like you said, it looks like he just kind of gave up. And I don't know. I feel like ever since he left Houston, it's one of those guys that's going to become, is he even on Philly again? Do they want to pay that big contract to him? Is he just going to continue to bounce around? I don't know. I think it was just extremely disappointing to me. CP3's honorable mention, and honorable mention Ben Simmons as well.
I would say Ben Simmons is an honorable mention as well.
That's a good point. I don't even think he scored a point, did he?
No.
Log a minute? No.
I played as many minutes as he did.
He still
this
performed,
playoffs.
that's for sure.
Yeah, he cashed those checks.
Yeah.
That was his only performance.
He's still fighting for him, the Philly ones.
Good for him.
All right, G-Man, before I give you my all-stank team, we'll let you give me your top 3.
Well, they're kind of similar. I'm going with KD, and then I'll talk about KD in a second. I want to talk about Chris Paul, and nobody said this name yet, Devin Booker. I've been seeing all over Twitter that Devin Booker's a big superstar. He's elite. No, he's not. The dude's a 2. Chris Paul's a 2. That's 2 2s on one team, and they're not going to get it done that way. When it's Game 7, season on the line, I mean, that's 2 of the biggest words in sports is Game 7. That's what they say. And for Chris Paul, legacy here, I mean, you got a chance to get a ring, and you guys combined for 21 points. The Phoenix Suns had like 34 points in the third quarter with like 6 minutes to go. I mean, that's awful. I've never seen that before.
That's like
ever in my life.
pre-3-point line scoring.
That is absolutely trash. They're both 2s. They're not going to work. And if I was the Suns, give me one reason to keep Chris Paul. Why? Like, he's old.
I ain't going to give you one.
He's 37.
You can add him to the
He's a
coaching
liability
staff, I
on
guess.
defense. Trade for somebody else.
Yeah,
There's no need to keep him.
Is there trade value
Everyone
on him,
keeps
though?
talking about how he's an elite defender. He couldn't guard me. He plays. He just stands there. He's like a cone.
I don't know if you guys heard what Pat Bev said.
Yeah,
on
he's a
ESPN.
cone.
I did have
He's
a chance to
cone.
watch today.
He's like, nobody's scared of Chris Paul, and
No.
that's eye-opening from a guy who can't play offense. Patrick Beverly, he's not that good of an offensive player.
People have him because he's a defensive
Right.
guy.
So, and then KD, you already mentioned it, Storm, but you put LeBron on the Nets, that series goes more than 4 games, 110%. And I know that when LeBron played the Celtics, it was a way different team. Jason Tatum was not who the guy is now, but, I mean, LeBron piggybacked them against the Celtics when there was no K-Love, there was no Kyrie, averaged about 40 a game, had like 7 triple-doubles in that playoffs. So
He earned Matthew Dellavedova a $50+ million contract.
So,
That's how good he was.
KD's been chasing LeBron. He'll never catch him, and he'll never come close.
And that Game 7 that you were talking about was in Boston too.
Yeah.
It wasn't even in Cleveland, and he willed his team there.
All right, so you guys, you put a lot of stink out there. And I've been watching it too, and I'm with you. Basically, some retreads here, but how could you not say Kevin Durant after what we've seen? I think he proved that he just can't be the guy. He can be a stud, of course, on a team, but he needs a guy like a Draymond or a Steph Curry to actually be the team leader that'll be out there talking. KD's just too much of a individual type of player. James Harden, man, when he ran out there on the court, I don't know why, but I got shades of Jonah Hill in Superbad when he says, let's go catch a glimpse of those warlocks. He just looks bad the way that he's moving around. He's a little bit plump. And then Chris Paul, you want to talk about falling off the cliff after that 37th birthday. My goodness, did he really drop off? His number is astronomically different. So I turned 37. I'm getting better right now. I don't know what his problem is. I can't figure it out. But Chris Paul, for whatever reason, is the ultimate choke artist in the history of the NBA playoffs. I saw so many numbers thrown out there that I didn't even know this morning. I do know that he's lost 5 times when having a 2-0 series lead in the playoffs. Nobody's ever done that more than 3 times. Chris Paul, my goodness, man. I don't know why this happens to you in the playoffs, but I think I almost agree with Storm. Can you really put him in the conversation now as top 5 point guards all time? Because like Pat Bev said, you play 17 years, you're going to get some numbers. He was an elite defender at one time. He's a bit of a turnstile now. So I do feel a little bit for him. But at the same time, he's on my Mount Rushmore.
Well,
sure.
and people always talk about, oh, he's a true point guard. Well, like the definition of a true point guard has changed. Like a point guard isn't a facilitator anymore. Your point guard, more often than not, is your primary scorer, and he will never like you remember Pat Beverly said he sleeps early when he has to play against Steph. He goes out late night when he has to play against Chris Paul, and I would too because I am way more scared of Chris Paul of Steph Curry than I am Chris Paul.
All right, we're done beating up on these guys. But it's been fun. All right, you know what else is fun? How about the NFL season? Man, we're getting jacked up already. It's May, but they just dropped the schedule, so we're getting pretty excited for a few of these games out there. We have a whole allotment. We all cheer for different teams, so I imagine our answers are all going to be different. Hayden, we'll let the Steelers fans start. When you look at the schedule, I'm assuming it's going to be for Pittsburgh for you. What is the most anticipated game of the year that you want to see this season?
I mean, there's a ton, but I'm actually gonna, and I just realized I'm wearing Browns colors today, so oops. But yeah, I am excited to watch Week 3 just because I think I'm just so ready for the season to start. I wasn't even looking beyond Week 5. I'm just gonna pick whichever one in the top 5 weeks looks good to me. I'm just really excited to see how the Browns-Steelers rivalry kind of evolves this year. I think that personnel-wise, you got 2 guys right there, and unless something drastic happens, I mean, I can't rule Baker out, but those 2 guys aren't at the realms anymore. And it might not be Pickett either. Trubisky's going to compete with him in camp, but 2 new quarterbacks. Because even if something happens to Watson, it would probably be Brissett again, unless Baker steps out on that field. But I'm just interested to see how this rivalry evolves with some of the youth that both teams have now. You got someone like a Freiermuth. Obviously, Ward's been there for a few years, but he's still, one of the more known young Browns now. You got Pickens and Claypool on the Steelers. So I just feel like the rosters are changing, and I think it's going to be, I think we've seen in the past years, you were just reminding me about losing to you in the playoffs, a little bit a while ago. So I think both teams are more. I think the rivalry's better when it's competitive, and I think it's back to a place where it can be now.
How good are the Pickett memes right now. Every day there's a new small hand meme. I am laughing on a daily basis. Thank you, Twitter, for that. G-Man, which Vikings game is it for you? What's the best?
NFL release date is like Christmas to me. I had to like put my highlight away for like 10, 15 minutes just to scan the area. But for the Vikings, I think I'm always excited for the opener, obviously, because I wait so long for this. They open against the Packers in America's Game of the Week on Fox. Ooh. I might be in attendance for that one. I don't know yet. But one I will 110%, that's from Lambeau Field, by the way. But
Nice.
one I will be in attendance for is in Miami. I'm definitely going to that game. Tickets are already ready to go. So Miami,
Look out.
Bring the pain.
He's coming.
We're winning this game. Every game I went to last year, we lost, and it's pretty disappointing. So most excited for the Packers game week 1, but I'm going to the Miami game. I might be going to the Cowboys game, but that's the week before Thanksgiving, and I want to go to the Thanksgiving game. There's just so many games I want to go to, and I don't know if I can. But that Patriots-Vikings on Thanksgiving is another one I want to throw out there. That's the night game, too.
It's prime time, yeah. That's awesome.
So there's too many. I can't pick.
Yeah, I was going to say, that's not really narrowed down very well. Storm, I can't wait to hear where you're going with this one. A dedicated Detroit Lions fan. What do you want to see?
Well, there's not going to be a whole lot for us to cheer about this year, I don't think, again, unfortunately. We'll
I
probably
think
be like,
you're wrong, Storm.
we'll probably be a 5 or 6 win team. You think more?
Upgrade?
I think it was 7-8.
Yeah, really? Wow.
Ooh.
I don't know. I love Motor City Dan
Optimism.
Campbell. I'm hoping nothing but the best. So I got my eyes set on a special date, and that's November 24th, Thanksgiving.
We all look forward to
the
that.
12:30 game. So we're early enough to where I'm still hungry before the game, so I can watch all the game, and I can be disappointed when we get blown out
Right.
by the Bills.
But there's
You
pie
live
there
with
to
that
then
keep
gun.
I
you
can
entertained.
I can eat Thanksgiving lunch or dinner or whatever you want to call it, and then I have some really awesome games to watch after it. Giants Cowboys at 4:30 and Patriots Vikings at 8:20. So I'm most excited for the Thanksgiving
You
Day
guys got a
matchup.
tough matchup.
I know, we
Why
do.
They give you
We-
guys the Bills.
Oh,
man?
We're gonna
jeez.
get blown out, but at least it'll
That's
be
not even fair.
before I eat. Like I don't have to eat my turkey and my ham while I watch them get blown out.
Yeah, you
It'll-
can eat your
it'll be
sorrows
after.
way after.
Yeah, I can eat my sorrows away after.
So you're just going with a full holiday full of great
I like
football, starting with your Lions. Maybe getting a dub. Maybe they'll kick off the holiday season for you with some good vibes.
I hope so. I really do. I honestly don't know which I like better: Thanksgiving football or NBA Christmas. Both of them I
What
love.
about NFL Christmas?
NFL
I think
Christmas
they
is
got,
cool.
I think they
Starting
got
that now, too.
3 games this
3
year.
this year.
I think they have 3 this year.
Again, wow, really?
Yeah, they're competing in the NBA. They know that they're king.
Yeah. They know. I'm also going to go with a holiday game too, gentlemen, and that's because the defending, reigning AFC champions coming to Cleveland. They want to try to take some of our shine on our season. Don't think it's going to happen this year. Halloween night, Monday Night Football, the only Monday night game for the Browns this year. I got to be in attendance for this one. There's going to be crazy people in wild costumes.
Should be
and
cool.
Of course, it's one of the best rivalries, I think, in the NFL. You know, the Battle of Ohio. Let's see if this Bengals team, are they going to be able to duplicate what they did last year? It also comes in week 8, so it's a good barometer game for both of us. See right where we're at. Are the Browns legitimately going to be playoff contenders? Same thing for the Bengals. I think there's a lot to be learned, but it's all about that environment. The tailgating is going to be spectacular on that night. Halloween and football, it just goes together, man.
Yeah,
It
I
Joe
just
went-
Shiesty versus Jacoby Brissett.
I went on Halloween last year. And it was fun.
That's gonna be fun. Yeah.
Night games are the best, and adding a Halloween on top plus a rivalry.
Oh, yeah.
That's a scrumptious pick.
That sprinkles and then
That's
a
a
little
recipe for
cherry on
success.
top. Not sure if the Browns are going to win that one. Tough matchup, but we do want to dissect the schedule for you guys and let you know how many games we think the Browns are going to win. So go ahead and bring up that full schedule for the Browns. We'll look at it. We'll break it down kind of together. I threw out a number here without really going through and picking which games I thought that the Browns could win. So I'm going to try to talk myself into 10 wins, gentlemen, and I think that gets us to the top of the conference. So you all, of course, all three, not really interested in cheering for the Browns, so I'm more curious to get your opinions than my own. Hayden, actually, since you're on the entirely opposite end of the fan spectrum,
true.
what are you seeing out here for the Browns?
Now I'm gonna treat this question respectfully, even as a Steelers fan. So I came up with a worst and a best. Honestly, looking at the schedule, I did the same thing. I didn't particularly go every single opponent. I just kind of tried to take it all in at once. I mean, I did go through, but I didn't say which ones exactly they'd lose. I think for sure, I mean, it's the Browns. The worst can always be something that we never expected, but my projected worst is honestly 8-9. I think that they could go around 500 at worst. Say a situation where Deshaun Watson is suspended for a little while. I think that they could still find a way to scrape together a 500 season. And then at best, I do have them being a playoff team again at 10-7. I think 10 wins is doable looking at that schedule. They've got some tough opponents for sure. I'm not yet quite ready to put them over the Bengals in both. I kind of like the Bengals in both. In our rivalry, I think that it can go either way, so that might be one of those splits. But, you know, they've got a couple teams on there that I think are definitely beatable. The Commanders, the Texans, the Dolphins, and who knows, they could get a few of those surprises in there as well. So I think that, you know, they can have a positive record for sure.
All right, GMG, man, let's go to you next. As I look at the schedule, I feel like the Browns, even though we never win in week 1, we've only done it once since 1999, I kind of feel like we can get off to a 4-0 start.
Yeah, I was just looking at that. I think you guys are going to go 4-0. And then you got, I think it was the Chargers.
Chargers.
There's a rough stretch in there, though.
Yeah.
It was like Ravens, Bengals, Dolphins, yeah, here we go.
I mean, the Patriots in there, too.
Patriots, too, are a good team. Patriots, Ravens, Bengals, Dolphins, Bills, Buccaneers.
That's tough.
You got to win at least 3 of those. You'll get, I think, the Patriots. You're going to split with the Ravens, I think. So, say you get that first one. I think the Bengals are sweeping you. You got to get a Bucks Bills one. That's the one you have. You got to get one of those.
Got to get one of those.
So I think it's 11-7, honestly, at best.
Wow.
I really do.
Stacking up pretty
Beat
favorably.
the Jets, beat the Steelers, beat the Falcons, lose the Chargers, beat the Patriots, beat the Ravens at 6-1, lose to the Bengals, 6-2, beat the Dolphins, 7-3 or 7-2, and then this is where it gets tough.
Yeah.
You might lose both of them. 7-4, beat the Texans, 8-4, 8-5 after the Bengals, 8-6 after the Ravens, and then I think you went out.
I can dig it. I don't really like that stretch where
Right.
it says
Brutal.
at versus at. 4 out of 5 weeks we're on the road against all good opponents. Well, except for maybe Houston. What do you think, Storm?
I was gonna say 10-7, but I went with 9-8 just because I feel like in Browns fashion, you know, and in Lions fashions too, you're gonna lose a game that you should win. But
Always.
9-8 still isn't bad. I think the easy answer here that I'm gonna take is it all depends on who's at quarterback.
Facts.
If Deshaun Watson's there, things look a lot brighter than if it might have to be Baker Mayfield or potentially even something else, someone else, depending on what they do with him, which is really scary.
Sorry to interrupt you, Storm.
No, you're
but
fine.
I was trying to think. I don't think 9-8 gets you in the playoffs in the AFC this year.
Really?
Well, but
would
it might be good enough to win our division.
That's a good point. The only thing is, because like the AFC West, Chargers, Raiders, Chiefs, and Broncos, all 4 of them are probably making the playoffs. Maybe not the Raiders.
Could you imagine?
But like,
It's going to be tough.
I mean, AFC North and AFC West could literally be the playoffs.
Yeah.
Ravens, Bengals, Browns, Raiders, Chiefs,
Steelers.
Chargers, Broncos. That's 7 teams.
Steelers, too.
So, Steelers, enough. Browns are sweeping the Steelers.
Do you
I wish we
think
could play in the
do
NFC,
you think
Chief.
that the Browns go 4-0 with Baker at quarterback? Maybe if it's someone else who isn't Deshaun Watson, do you think they start off
No.
4-0?
They wouldn't go 10-7 if Baker was the quarterback.
Give me on a 1 to 10, how likely you think it is Baker Mayfield plays a game for the Browns this year?
0.
Really?
I think he would
I was going to go with a 10.
10? Oh, you think for sure?
I think he will play.
No.
There is no way unless they move him.
It don't matter.
Deshaun
There's
Watson
no
will
way
play.
the Browns are bringing Baker
No.
back into that clubhouse to run that team after he dog-walked them all
That
over
place
I
would
wonder if
riot.
Baker would be willing to come.
No.
First
he would
energy
not.
would
Are they going
riot.
to cut him then? Or are they going to waive him?
They have to. They're not going to bring him back in after management basically said, you're our second option, but hey, come back. We need you again. He's not going to take another snap.
What do you
Why
think,
would
Brian?
you?
I mean, I think they would riot, and you're a lifelong Browns fan. I mean,
No, actually, I think that there's a lot more people that are on the Baker Mayfield, we feel bad for him bandwagon
Yeah.
than there are get him out of town.
Okay.
He was a little bit cocky for his own good, but at the same time, we kind of appreciated that in Cleveland. We got behind it. We liked it. I would only give it maybe about 2 gold stars, though, out of 10, because I'm with G. I just don't think there's a way that management can really turn the storyline for Baker into, hey,
Well, it's like
this is
your
going to work out.
Your boss being like, we don't need you anymore, and then he calls you in a week.
I need you.
I mean,
But-
how desperate are you? I mean, I guess if he's got nobody, like if he's got nothing, I guess. But I don't think the Browns are going to allocate that much money because they just signed Brissett. Then they got Deshaun on $230 million guaranteed, and then they're going to pay Baker $18 million just to sit. I mean, cut him and get rid of him and just get him out of the organization. But I don't know. I guess we'll see.
I think that's much more likely. All right, we'll see how many wins the Browns get this year. We'll wrap up today's show. G-Man, tell the people how many wins the Vikes getting.
We're winning the division. We're going 10-7. Ooh. Lions, dark horse here. I think they might end up at the second.
I hope so.
I don't know. The Packers are still really
Starts with
good.
that win on Thanksgiving.
How many wins for your Lions, Storm?
Seven.
Yeah.
Sweeping the Bears. That's 2. They might split with us.
How many times do you
I
think
think the
we beat
Lions
the
are good.
Packers?
How many wins the Packers get?
How many times do we beat the
No.
Packers? We won't beat them at all.
No.
Yeah.
Maybe split.
Jared Goff for MVP.
the Lions' weapons are good. Jamison Williams, Amon St. Brown. They signed DJ Chark, DeAndre Swift, TJ Hawkinson, and they got
G-Man
Penei
Lions fan
Sewell.
confirmed.
Lions are good. They
The
got a
Lions
good,
is the Lions,
They got
though.
a good.
That's
squad.
what Browns fans have learned with our
And
stacked rosters, too.
MCDC is loving that we don't have a primetime game all season. He is loving that. So we're gonna be hungry.
I think it's
and
7,
not
6,
just talk
6
about
or
on
7.
Thanksgiving.
Mike Tomlin never had a losing record. Does it happen this year, Hayden?
Oh yes, it does.
Yes, it does. Swept by the Browns.
I don't want to even talk about it. My guess, 7-9. And
Yeah,
I love
that's
Mike
our
Tomlin,
show.
though. That's not on Mike Tomlin.
He's probably right.
All right. Make sure you check in tonight.
Record.
We're going to have highlights for the Hillsdale and the Loudonville game, and then so much tournament action for baseball and softball this week that you won't even be able to keep up with our feed. It's going to be off the charts. See you at a Field New Year, or just check out the highlights, whatever you prefer.